I can't just drop everything at work. I have my priorities, my girlfriend said when I asked for her support after my dad had a heart attack. So I decided to prioritize the people who really care about me. So this happened and I'm still processing it. I've been with my girlfriend Danielle for 3 years and until recently, things were really good. We moved in together last year after she got a key to my place and just never left. Not that I minded. We'd spend Sunday mornings in bed planning our future, the house we'd buy, names for kids we didn't have yet, even joking about what we'd do in retirement. She used to say I was her person, her safe harbor. I believed her. Then she got promoted to senior marketing manager at her company 2 months ago. I was genuinely excited for her. She'd been working toward this for years, putting in crazy hours, networking like her life depended on it. She deserved it. The raise was substantial, nearly doubled her salary. I thought we'd finally have some breathing room financially and maybe she could dial back the stress a bit. Boy, was I wrong. I was so wrong. Since the promotion, it's like I'm dating a completely different person. She works 12-hour days minimum, takes calls during dinner like I'm not even there, and spends weekends networking at industry events. When I tried talking to her about spending time together, she said I was being unsupportive of her success, and that this was her moment to establish herself in the company hierarchy. The language change was the first red flag. She started talking like a LinkedIn post. Everything became about strategic positioning and career trajectory. Even our relationship discussions turned into business meetings where I was apparently underperforming. I tried to be understanding. I really did. I started making dinner most nights, handling more of the household stuff, giving her space to focus. I figured once she settled into the role, things would normalize. My mom always said relationships go through phases. Then my dad had his heart attack. It happened on a Tuesday morning around 8:30. Mom called me at work, barely able to speak through her panic. "Clark, your father," he collapsed. "They're taking him to Presbyterian. Oh God, I don't know what to do." I dropped everything and raced to the hospital. The next few hours were a blur of medical terms I didn't understand, consent forms, and sitting in that sterile waiting room while surgeons worked on my dad's heart. Mom was a wreck. My sister was driving down from her job 2 hours away, and I felt completely helpless. Around noon, when the initial panic had settled into this horrible waiting game, I realized I should call Danielle. My hands were still shaking when I dialed her number. "Hey babe," she answered, and I could hear the clicking of her keyboard in the background. "Danielle, my dad had a heart attack this morning. He's in surgery right now." There was a pause. The typing stopped. "Oh my God, Clark, that's terrible. Is he going to be okay?" "I don't know yet. The surgery could take hours. I'm honestly freaking out and Mom is barely holding it together. Could you come here? I really need you right now." Another pause, longer this time. When she spoke again, her tone had shifted. "I wish I could, but I'm in back-to-back strategy sessions until 7 p.m. I really can't just leave. I understand it's important, but could you maybe finish your meetings early today? I'm barely keeping it together here. Clark, I know you're upset, but you have your mom and sister there for support. I can't just abandon my professional responsibilities every time there's a family crisis. This meeting could literally determine my department's funding. Every time there's a family crisis. This was the first family emergency we'd ever had. I'm not asking you to abandon anything. I'm asking my girlfriend to be there when I need her most." Her voice got that edge I was starting to recognize. "I don't think it's fair of you to put this kind of pressure on me when you know how critical these meetings are for my career trajectory. I'll come by tonight after work if I can, but I can't just drop everything at work because you're feeling overwhelmed. I have my priority." I stared at my phone after she hung up, not sure what had just happened. I spent 6 hours in that waiting room with my mom and sister. My mom kept asking where Danielle was. I made excuses, important meeting, couldn't get away, would be there soon. Each lie felt like swallowing glass. Danielle never came. When I got home at midnight, exhausted and emotionally drained, she was on her laptop in bed, illuminated by the blue glow of what looked like a marketing presentation. She looked up long enough to ask, "How did it go?" like I'd been at a dentist appointment. When I told her how hurt I was that she couldn't take a few hours off work for my family emergency, she got defensive immediately, said her new role required significant sacrifices, and that she couldn't just abandon her responsibilities, that I was being unrealistic about professional expectations in competitive industries. I stared at her and realized I didn't recognize the person sitting across from me. The woman I fell in love with would have dropped everything. Hell, she once left work early because I had food poisoning. Dad's doing better now, by the way. Triple bypass, but the doctors say he'll make a full recovery. But I can't shake this feeling that I'm completely alone in this relationship. When we first started dating, Danielle always said family came first. She loved my parents, spent holidays with us, talked about wanting to be part of our family someday. Now I feel like I'm competing with spreadsheets and conference calls for basic human decency from my own girlfriend. Am I being unreasonable here? Should I just accept that this is what dating an ambitious woman looks like? I don't want to hold her back, but I also don't want to disappear completely from my own life. Edit, to those asking, yes, I've tried talking to her multiple times. Every conversation ends with her telling me I don't understand the pressure she's under and that I should be more supportive of her growth trajectory. Stop deeming me to dump her immediately. It's more complicated than that. We have a lease, joint credit cards, shared Netflix account, her stuff mixed with mine until I can't tell where I end and she begins. Untangling a life is messier than untangling a heart. Update 1. Posted 2 weeks ago, so I decided to take a step back. Instead of trying to get Danielle's attention or competing with her job for scraps of affection, I just stopped. Stopped planning our weekends around her schedule. Stopped holding dinner for her while it got cold. Stopped rearranging my entire life to accommodate someone who treated me like an inconvenience. I started going to my parents' house more. Dad's recovery has been tough. He gets tired easily and frustrated that he can't do the things he used to. Mom needed help with appointments, grocery runs, just general support. It felt good to be needed by people who actually wanted me around. I also reconnected with friends I'd been neglecting. My buddy Mike had been asking me to hang out for months, but I kept declining because Danielle always had work events that she needs me as her plus one or was too tired to be social. When I finally called him back, his first words were, "Dude, you look like shit. When's the last time you actually laughed? Not that polite chuckle you do now, but actually laughed until your sides hurt." I realized I couldn't remember. This went on for about 10 days without Danielle really noticing. She'd come home late, find me reading or watching TV, and just go straight to her laptop like I was furniture. Fine by me. For the first time in months, I wasn't walking on eggshells in my own apartment. Then last Saturday happened. I was at Mike's watching football with a few guys from college. We used to do this every weekend before Danielle's schedule consumed our lives. Around halftime, my phone started blowing up with texts from her. "Where are you? I'm home and you're not here. We were supposed to spend today together. This is really immature behavior. I specifically cleared my afternoon for us. Do you know how many important calls I had to reschedule? The sacrifices I make." I was confused because we definitely hadn't made plans. I called her and she was livid. "I specifically told you yesterday that I was freeing up my Saturday afternoon," she said with that familiar edge that meant I was about to be the bad guy again. "You didn't tell me anything," I replied. "You've been working every weekend for months. I made other plans because you never include me in yours." That's when she really lost it. Accused me of being passive-aggressive and deliberately undermining her efforts to repair our relationship dynamic. Said I was punishing her for being successful and that I was clearly threatened by her career advancement. The psychological manipulation was so blatant I almost laughed. Almost. I hung up and stayed at Mike's until evening. When I got home, she was waiting in the living room with a whole speech prepared about how relationships require compromise and communication, how she was disappointed in my recent behavioral patterns and needed me to be more present and engaged in our partnership. The irony was absolutely unbelievable. I looked at her, really looked at her and said, "You mean how you were present when my dad was in surgery? Or how you've been present for exactly 0 dinners this month?" She got that look. The same cold, calculating expression she probably uses in boardroom confrontations. "That's not fair, Clark. You know how demanding my role is right now. I'm doing this for our future together." Our future. When do I actually exist in this future? Because right now I feel like an accessory to your life that you remember when it's convenient. The fight that followed was brutal. She kept saying I didn't understand professional pressure in competitive environments, and that she expected her partner to be supportive during this critical growth period. I told her I'd been nothing but supportive for months while she treated me like a roommate she occasionally slept with when her schedule allowed. We haven't really talked since then. She's been even more distant, staying later at work, coming home and going straight to bed. Yesterday she made a passive-aggressive comment about how some people don't understand what real ambition looks like and how mediocre people try to drag down those who are actually succeeding. The thing is, I'm not even mad anymore. I'm just done. My life has been better these past 2 weeks than it has in months. I'm sleeping better, laughing more, actually enjoying my free time instead of sitting around waiting for scraps of her attention like a dog. Edit. A lot of you are asking if I love her. I do. But I'm starting to think the person I fell in love with doesn't exist anymore. Or maybe she was never real to begin with. To the person who said I'm intimidated by successful women, get lost. This has nothing to do with her success and everything to do with basic human decency. My sister makes twice what I do and her husband doesn't feel like a stranger in his own relationship. Update 2, posted 1 week ago. This is getting messy, Reddit, like really messy, and terrifying. After my last update, things got worse before they got. Well, they're still pretty bad. But now I can see the manipulation pattern clearly, and honestly, it's like watching a psychological thriller where I'm the unwitting victim. So remember how Danielle was giving me the cold shoulder? That lasted exactly 3 days. Then suddenly, she was the girlfriend from our early dating days again. Flowers delivered to my office with a note saying, "Thinking of my amazing boyfriend." Surprise dinner reservations at that expensive Italian place we went to for our first anniversary. Even took Friday afternoon off to surprise me with homemade dinner and wine. I was confused but cautiously optimistic. Maybe she'd realized how distant she'd been. Maybe the stress was finally getting to her and she wanted to reconnect. Then I noticed the timing. This complete 180-degree personality change happened exactly 24 hours after I posted a picture on Instagram of me and my college friends at a baseball game. We all looked happy, relaxed. I was genuinely smiling for the first time in months, and it was visible. The love bombing lasted exactly 1 weekend. By Monday, she was back to her usual routine, but now with added surveillance. She started asking detailed questions about where I was going, who I was with, how long I'd be gone, when exactly I'd be home. When I went to help Dad with some yard work, she texted me every hour asking for status updates. When I called her out on it, she flipped the script completely. "I'm just trying to be more involved in your life since you complained about feeling disconnected," she said with this practiced innocence that made my skin crawl. "I thought you wanted me to show more interest in your activities." That's when I started paying attention to how she actually talked to me. The gaslighting was constant and sophisticated. Every conversation became a masterclass in deflection. I'd say, "I miss spending time together," and she'd respond with, "I don't understand why you're trying to sabotage my career when you know how hard I've worked for this. It feels like you want me to fail." Simple requests became evidence of my character flaws. I asked if she wanted to go to my cousin's wedding next month. Her response, "I don't understand why you're pressuring me about social obligations when you know how demanding my schedule is. It feels like you're trying to undermine my professional responsibilities by overwhelming me with frivolous commitments." I literally just asked if she wanted to go to a family wedding, but the real wake-up call came Thursday night. I was having dinner with my parents and sister. Dad's doing much better and we were actually having fun for the first time since his surgery. We were laughing about old family stories and I felt this lightness I'd forgotten existed. My sister mentioned how good it was to have the real Clark back. What do you mean? I asked. You've seemed so diminished lately, she said carefully. Like you were walking on eggshells all the time. Everything about you got smaller, your voice, your laugh, even the way you sat. Tonight you seem like yourself again. My mom nodded. We've been worried about you, honey. You always seemed so stressed and tired when Danielle was around. Your father and I have been married for 32 years. Never once has he made me feel like I was inconveniencing him by needing him. That's what love actually looks like. That hit me like a freight train. My own family had been watching me slowly disappear and were too polite to say anything until now. When I got home that night, Danielle was waiting up, which was unusual. She had this weird energy, excited but also tense, like she was about to perform. I've been thinking, she said, and I realize I need to be better about work-life balance. So I cleared my schedule this weekend and I want us to plan something special together. Maybe that hiking trip we talked about, or we could drive to the coast. It should have been good news. Instead, every alarm bell in my head went off. That's great, I said carefully. But I'm actually going camping with Mike and the guys this weekend. We planned it last week. Her face went through about 5 different expressions in 2 seconds: surprise, anger, calculation, hurt, then back to that controlled smile. Of course you are. Right when I try to prioritize us, you have other plans. How convenient. The voice was sweet, but her eyes were ice cold. Danielle, you literally just decided this 5 minutes ago. I can't cancel on my friends because you suddenly want to spend time together. Your friends, she repeated slowly, like she was tasting something bitter. Your friends who are clearly more important than your girlfriend. Your friends who you've been running to every time we have a relationship challenge instead of trying to work things out with me like an adult. The manipulation was so blatant I almost laughed. Almost. My friends who actually want to spend time with me, I said. My friends who don't make me feel like I'm bothering them by existing. That's when the mask really slipped. She started yelling about how ungrateful I was, how she was trying to fix things, and I was being deliberately difficult and emotionally manipulative. How I was punishing her for being ambitious and successful, how I was clearly intimidated by her growth. I just sat there watching her perform this victim routine and realized, this is who she actually is. The sweet, supportive girlfriend from our early relationship. That was the performance. This controlling, manipulative person having a meltdown because I wouldn't cancel my plans for her last-minute demands. This is real. Success became her drug. Like any addict, she'd sacrifice anything, relationships, family, basic human decency, for her next fix. The promotion wasn't just a job change. It was permission to become someone I didn't recognize. Or maybe it just revealed who she always was underneath. I went camping, had an amazing time, didn't check my phone once. Came home to 47 text messages and 12 missed calls. The progression was like watching someone's mental state deteriorate in real time. Started with anger, I can't believe you're being so selfish. Moved to manipulation, I guess I know where I stand in your priorities. Then guilt. I'm sitting here alone realizing my boyfriend doesn't actually care about me. But the last few were different. Suddenly she was sorry, she understood why I needed space, she wanted to work on things together like a team. I'm seeing the pattern now. Love bomb, control, punish, repeat. How the heck did I not see this before? Her office friends started treating me differently too. Polite but distant, like I was a problem that needed managing. I realized she'd been controlling the narrative about our relationship for months, probably painting me as the needy boyfriend who didn't understand her success. Edit. To everyone asking, yes, I'm looking at apartments. The lease is in both our names, but I need to get out of here before I lose myself completely. My sister is reading these posts, and she said she's proud of me for finally seeing clearly. She also said if I go back to Danielle after this, she's staging an intervention. Final update, posted 3 days ago, it's over. I moved out yesterday, and honestly, I feel like I can breathe again for the first time in months. First, Thank you all for the support and reality checks. After my camping trip, Danielle ramped up the manipulation to 11. She tried every trick in the book, crying, promises to change, threats to hurt herself if I left, even trying to seduce me. When none of that worked, she went nuclear. She called my mom and told her I was having a mental health crisis and that she was worried about my increasingly erratic behavior. She reached out to my friends trying to get them to talk sense into me about throwing away a good relationship. She even showed up at my office to work things out in front of my coworkers, crying and asking why I was abandoning her. But the final straw was when she tried to use my dad's health against me. She sent a long text about how stress was bad for his heart and that I was creating unnecessary family drama during his recovery by being unreasonable and vindictive. Using my dad's surgery, the same emergency she couldn't be bothered to show up for, as emotional leverage. That's when I knew there was no coming back from this. Any remaining doubt I had about who she really was died in that moment. I called my sister, and she helped me pack while Danielle was at work. We moved fast and efficiently. I left a note explaining I was done and that we could handle the lease and shared accounts through email. Blocked her on everything except email for logistics. The past 3 days have been peaceful in a way I'd forgotten was possible. No walking on eggshells. No anxiety about saying the wrong thing. No feeling guilty for having friends or spending time with family. No checking my phone every 5 minutes worried about her mood. I'm staying with my parents for now while I look for a place. Dad's doing great, by the way, back to his old self and thrilled to have me around more. Mom keeps cooking my favorite meals and telling me how much happier I seem. "You're filling up the room again," she said yesterday. "Last night I went to dinner with friends and actually enjoyed myself without monitoring the time or worrying about getting home by a certain hour. Such a simple thing, but it felt revolutionary." Mike said I looked like I'd been holding my breath for months and finally exhaled. I know some of you are going to ask if I'll try to work things out with Danielle. The answer is absolutely not. This wasn't a rough patch or a communication issue. This was a systematic pattern of emotional manipulation that escalated when I started standing up for myself. The woman I fell in love with was a carefully constructed mask designed to get me invested in the relationship. Once she felt secure, the real Danielle emerged, someone who sees people as accessories to her life story, not as human beings with their own needs and feelings. I'm not angry anymore. Sometimes I catch myself missing her laugh, the real one, not the performance version. I mourn the relationship we could have had if she'd chosen love over ambition, but I don't mourn the person she actually was. She's going to spend her life wondering why she can't maintain deep relationships, never realizing that success means nothing if you have no one who genuinely cares about you to share it with. Dating again terrifies me. How do you trust your instincts when someone spent months convincing you they were broken? How do you know if someone actually likes you or if they're just really good at pretending? But I'm hopeful I'll figure it out. Life's too short to be someone's afterthought. Thanks for all the support. This community saved my sanity. Love you all.